Have you had a hard time sticking to a weight loss program? You lose the excitement. You lose that fire to want to keep pushing forward. What are you supposed to do?
Today we're talking about maintaining motivation.
You're listening to the Pathway Podcast, leading you on the path to fitness success. Here are your hosts, Jonathan Canales and Rex Andrews.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Pathway Podcast. I'm Rex.
And I'm Jonathan.
Jonathan, motivation. Gotta love it.
Yeah, it's like you gotta just get on YouTube, look for the right video, and then you're good to go. You just maintain motivation. Just always look for those YouTube videos, right?
I mean, those definitely help. When you were dying during the marathon, was it not David Goggins telling you?
Yeah.
Don't be weak.
Yeah, but you might not always have access to the YouTube videos.
That's right. And a lot of times, motivation's fleeting, right? It's amazing when you have motivation, when you're fired up, and you feel like you can conquer the world, right? You got that big goal in front of you, and you're like, man, I'm going to do this. I'm so excited about it. It's like you can visualize yourself already doing the thing, right?
Yeah.
That's the best.
Yeah, you start to almost experience the reward of the results.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, it's going to feel so good when I've lost this 30 pounds, and I'm feeling confident, taking my shirt off, and just feeling healthier, having more energy, you start to get really excited. And then you don't really think about all the work it's going to take to get there.
The work is when we lose the motivation.
Yes. Yeah. When you have to do things when you're tired and you're hungry and
wait a minute. This is hard.
Is this really worth it? I need more motivation.
Yeah.
Who was that guy 2 weeks ago that was super motivated?
Yeah.
Where is he at?
Yeah. And so we can get caught up in this thing of chasing down motivation, chasing down that feeling that, we can conquer the world and nothing's going to get in our way. But honestly, maintaining motivation is impossible, right? It's like making your goal, I just want to be happy. Happy's not a thing, right? You can't shoot for happiness. Happiness is a byproduct of doing the things that make you happy, right? So being motivated is a byproduct of taking the action that's going to get you towards your goals.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the biggest thing is a lot of the times when we don't feel motivated to take action, we're going to well, what can motivate me? And that's when, you're pulling in David Goggins or you're watching YouTube videos. And really, I think we spend a lot more time, and I know I've done this in the past, where you're searching for that video that's going to motivate you to go do something instead of just being can I take 5 minutes to go do? And then you might feel a little bit better, feel more motivated once you get going, and then just keep that progress moving forward.
Yeah, you know that feeling of just being totally overwhelmed by your to-do list? And seeing this endless checklist of I have to get all of these things done right now or I'm a total failure and everything's going wrong. And so obviously the thing that you're supposed to do is not do anything.
Yeah.
You just get so panicked in your head of I can't do this. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to go watch Netflix.
Yeah. It's I don't know what action to take next. So I'm just going to be on the safe side and take no action just to make sure that I don't do the wrong thing.
Exactly.
And it sounds almost stupid when you say it out loud, but then it's crazy how much we do that in our own self-talk and just day to day without really realizing it. And then it just holds us back from getting where we want to go.
For sure. So I know we call this maintaining motivation. Now we're motivation's dumb. Don't focus on motivation. But it comes down to really being able to keep yourself moving forward, right? Because motivation is great, and it is awesome when you have those moments when everything's going right, you're super excited, and you can see the progress ahead of you. But that's not where real progress is made. That's not where you break through and you accomplish things that you've never done before. Where you do that is when you consistently decide to show up when things are hard and when you're not motivated, when you're not excited about it. So really, this podcast is about that. How do you keep showing up when you're not motivated so that you can find those pockets of motivation? Because if you're only doing things when you're excited about it, and you're only doing things when you feel like everything's going the right way, you're never going to get anything done.
Yeah, no, that's completely true. And just like we talked about earlier of when you are super motivated and you're thinking about the results, you're thinking about the end goal, and you're getting excited about it, I think a lot of the times what stops people from staying in that state and staying motivated and continuing to take action is they don't see themselves or view themselves as the kind of person that can be that way. I know for me, there was years where I really wanted to be like athletic and fit and, be confident in the shape that I was in. But I just viewed myself as like this fat kid and like this fat person who was trying to go on a diet, who was trying to eat healthy. And like every time I failed, I would just tell myself, oh, well, you're just the fat person. You're just the fat kid. Even when I was a trainer, I was still like, oh, well, you're just a fat trainer. So like still like telling yourself that versus flipping it around and saying like, no, I am the kind of person who is healthy and fit and athletic, and like just start identifying as that person now and then saying, okay, if I am that person, what actions do I need to take today to continue to be that person? And then it's no longer like, oh, I need to do this every single time, and if I don't, I failed. But it's just like, this is who I am, and I'm not going to be 100% consistent, but I can't just give up and say, well, I'm just going to be fat forever. I have to just keep trying and figure out what went wrong and how I can get better.
That's it. Deciding to make the decisions in the day-to-day. So now the hard thing is like, cool, yeah, I decided to do the right thing, but what is the right thing? And that's where just having experience comes in play, right? Because you go, okay, cool, well, I'm going to work out every day and I'm going to eat perfect all the time. It sounds great in theory, but it doesn't work out that way, right? So now you find yourself at a restaurant, and the kind of person who accomplishes the goal that you want to do is going to make a healthy choice at this restaurant. I don't know how to do that. Cool. Figure it out. You learn it one time, and now every time that you go to a restaurant, you know how to make that healthy choice, right? I don't know what I'm supposed to do for a workout. Cool. Figure it out. Build out that playbook. Find workouts that work for you. Then once you've done that, you keep building out this playbook that you have things to go to, so that when you find yourself in a pinch, you find yourself out of time, you still know how to make those healthy choices that are going to help you accomplish the goal. That was the whole point of us writing Executing Fitness Success. Like this book, we give you like every strategy, everything that you need to be successful with your fitness. Now, we called it Executing Fitness Success because you can know all the right things to do, but not do them and get nowhere. The biggest battle is not in knowing what to do. It's doing it. It's showing up. It's always right here of you just getting in your own head and stopping you from just following through. So deciding that I'm going to be the person to execute, I'm going to be the person that shows up, and I'm going to make this happen is everything that you need to do. Then it just takes the time and the commitment to follow through, and you'll get there.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people like mess up in the beginning is they're like super motivated, they're ready to get after it, so they set unrealistic expectations of what they can execute on in their day-to-day. So it's like, I need to work out 5 times a week, I need to cook all of my meals from home and like only eat chicken, rice, and broccoli or whatever it is.
Terrible.
Yeah. And so when you like go a week and you're miserable and you're like, why am I doing this? Yeah, it's going to be like, oh, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. I'll just be fat or whatever else, whatever you tell yourself to just quit and give up. But instead of making it super hard, it's just like really trying to get those reps in and experience of like, okay, what am I currently doing and what can I focus on this week that's going to help me get closer to that goal? And then just focus on that. And hey, here's the thing. If you don't succeed the first week, it's not like, well, that didn't work. Just try again the next week and say, why didn't that work? Like, how can I come back to that? How can I be better this week? Because I know this is where I need to like make the most improvement to really get to my goal. And just keep showing up and keep doing it even when all the odds are stacked against you.
The only way that you can guarantee that you're going to fail is if you just stop trying. If you just give up and go, last week didn't go well, I'm done.
Yeah.
You failed.
Yeah.
But if you take that as a learning experience and go like, man, I didn't know what to do in that situation. Now I know what to do, or I have a better idea of what to do. You can handle things better, and you can just keep improving and keep becoming that person who is the ideal version of yourself and that end goal that you want to be. Right?
Yeah. And I think that's something that doesn't get talked about enough is like one thing that all humans have in common is everyone is a failure. Like everyone fails at something. And so you get to decide how you're going to deal with that failure.
30% gets you in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Like, so are you going to deal with that failure and say, I just give up, like I can't do this? Or are you going to say, okay, like what happened? Let me go back to the drawing board and figure it out for next time, because I'm not the kind of person that just gives up. But I am the kind of person who fails, learns from that, and keeps improving. That's how you get where you want to go.
Yeah, that's the Isaac Newton quote, right? Isaac Newton? No. Who made the light bulb? Was that Isaac Newton?
Albert Einstein.
No. Albert Einstein was E equals MC squared. Lexi.
Who made the light bulb?
Thomas Edison.
I always get him and Albert Einstein mixed up.
Isaac Newton was gravity.
Yeah.
That's right. Science talk here on the Pathway Podcast.
Yeah.
One more time. Who was it? Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison quote. He said he tried like 100 different times to make the light bulb and like failed every time.
Yeah.
And they're like, why didn't you give up? Because I just learned 100 different ways to not make the light bulb.
Yeah.
You know what
exactly.
I mean? So you got to stay in the game. Another thing you were talking about there, though, of just a lot of times when we commit to a big goal, we make it as hard on ourselves as possible, because that's what we've seen before, or maybe we've heard like motivational stories from people who are
that's
like,
how we get there fast.
That's right. We've heard like the martyrs, right?
Yeah.
Like, man, they suffered, and like David Goggins, like getting his knee drained. The next day he runs 10 miles. And you're like, that you really shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But he's doing it. So, you know, and there's people out there motivating like that. And like, it can seem like it has to be hard, but a lot of times guys are trying way too hard. And like they're going, I don't know how I can try harder. They, you know, they're busting their ass. They think they're doing everything they can. They're 3 weeks into working on this goal, and they haven't seen the progress they want. And they're just like, man, how can I keep this up? It's like, you might be trying really hard. You just might be trying hard at the wrong things. You just might need to step back. And we talk about that in the book of identifying the holes in your offense, right? There might be one thing that you're just not even thinking about. Like Clint, we talked about him in the book, but he was eating everything right that he thought at the time, and he was working out in his garage. He was doing P90X workouts. He worked hard for 6 months and lost 10 pounds. I was like, I got to do something different.
Yeah.
You know, like, he never gave up on himself. He kept pushing because he was close to being type 2 diabetic. He had like hypertension. He had a lot of health issues going on. He's like, I got to get on top of this. And 6 months of hard work, he had lost 10 pounds. So first thing, we stopped. Like, all right, let's look at everything. Let's see what's going on. And we look at what he was eating on the day-to-day basis, and he's like, I'm eating pretty good. I don't know what's happening. But he wasn't considering what he was drinking at all. He's putting down 4 Route 44 sweet teas from Sonic daily, right? Hundreds of grams of sugar, tons of calories added to his daily diet. So, like, no matter how hard he was working, he was never going to be outwork that, right? So 6 months of hard work that could have been switched around with just adjusting one little thing. Next 6 months, he lost 50 pounds instead.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I think that's a huge reason why coaching is so awesome, because when you're going about this on your own, you're trying to execute, like, you've been trying to do this on your own for a while, and it's gotten you in the shape that you're in that you're not satisfied with. So sometimes you just need a coach who has the experience, who's shown other people how to lose the weight and stick to it and keep it off, to tell you, yeah, just stop drinking sweet tea and then you'll get there. Or, oh, okay, like, I can do that. Yeah. And so, but if you don't have that coach, that expert, then it's super easy to be overwhelmed by everything that you're doing and just not take any action because you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's right. When you might just need a coach telling you, do this, and then you can go execute on it.
That's right. And yeah, that's such a big thing of just knowing the right things to work on. Can't tell you guys how much money that we've invested in coaching, one in personal training and in coaching, but business coaching, financial coaching, like any aspect of my life that I'm trying to level up in, I hire a coach because there's somebody else who's been through the hard work. They've studied it. They've seen what doesn't work, and they can see what I'm doing and just like make a small adjustment and go, hey, just try this instead, and save me so much time and effort and frustration and struggle and wanting to quit on myself. So just having somebody on your team to help you stay in the game and stay focused is so helpful. That's why we have jobs.
Yeah, and I think a lot of guys out there are like, I'm too good for needing a coach. Like, I can handle this on my own and that sort of thing. But it's just one of those things where if you look at all of the people who are successful and who are the role models, like a huge percentage of them all have coaches that are keeping them accountable, telling them what to do, and making sure they're doing those things. And we just need that accountability and direction so we can really get the speed to our result and keep that momentum going.
Yeah, like Steve Jobs is a CEO coach. Seems like he's a pretty good CEO, but he still has a coach who's like, yeah, let's try to level up like this, right?
Yeah.
Keep moving forward. Cool. So, like we said, you got to have the right strategy in place. You got to like know what you're doing, build out that playbook. But the main thing is just to stay in the game. And then the other side of that is just make sure that you're working hard on the right things, right?
Yeah.
Another thing that slows people down tremendously is just opening themselves up to negative momentum, things that are pulling you away from the right mindset to be motivated, to be excited about your goal, right?
Yeah. And I think, so whenever I got certified through Precision Nutrition, one of the things I learned was this activity called like break the chain. And so I think a lot of us just like have habits where throughout the day we're in our daily to-dos and doing certain things, and maybe something happens that triggers us to go get Whataburger or triggers us to eat those late night snacks or whatever bad habit that you struggle with is. And a lot of the times, like, once that one thing happens, it just snowballs into a lot of negative things happening after that are really pulling you away from your goals. And so it's really important to be aware of the choices that you're making throughout the day and your actions and how you're thinking about those things, because just one bad thing can lead you down a negative path without you even realizing it. And then you're at the end of the week, you're like, oh man, like I didn't lose weight again, and you're frustrated, versus just like having some awareness of your momentum, how you're making decisions throughout the day, and like being focused on keeping that momentum positive and staying back on track. So even if you do go off track, you can get right back on and keep that momentum going in a positive direction.
Yeah, and breaking the chain can be as simple as like, if you go out to lunch with, we have a client who's like going out to lunch with his workmates, right? And he's just trying to focus on drinking less for his health goals, and just because like just doesn't want to drink that much, right? So in the past, they go out to lunch, he gets a beer, all normal, but now he goes out to lunch, everybody gets beer and he gets a water, and everybody's like, oh, like, come on, dude, like, you're not drinking? Like, why aren't you drinking? Come on, man. And he's like, no, I'm just not drinking the day. And that's one day. Then the next day, same conversation. And then like eventually it starts wearing down on you, right? And it, like Friday rolls around, like, come on, man, it's Friday, just relax a little bit, don't worry about it so much. And if you like keep opening yourself up to things that cause that negative momentum, then like things happen, right? It's like the same thing of like just having snacks in the break room every day. Maybe you avoid it one day and your coworkers are like, oh, come on, why aren't you enjoying yourself? You gotta have a little bit fun, relax a little bit. But like their goals are not your goals, right? They're not responsible for if you accomplish what you're trying to work on or not, right? You gotta be able to have a hard conversation sometimes and be like, look, this is what I'm working on and this is what I'm doing. Or just be okay with like letting people down when it comes to that kind of stuff, right? And just knowing what you need to do to stay in line with your goals.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the biggest things about maintaining momentum and like a fitness journey in general is you have to realize that no matter what your why is, like it comes down to like you're doing it for you and you have to do it for yourself. And maybe you're doing it for you so that you can be there for your kids down the road or, you know, have more energy to play with them now. But that's still for you. It's reasons why you want to get this done. And so you have to like not be able to listen to what other people who don't care about what you want and your goals have to say to you in those situations, because they can really pull you away from your goal. And you can just be like, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. Or, oh, I don't know. Like I had this party and like I had to have a beer. Because just that's what you've always done, but that's gotten you into the shape that you're currently in. So you have to change something in order to get into the shape that you want to be in.
So another thing that can make you feel like you don't have a lot of momentum on your side is to feel like you're just not making progress, to feel stuck, to feel like you're plateaued, right?
Yeah, no one wants to feel like I'm working really hard, but anytime I step on the scale or anytime I look in the mirror, it's just nothing's moving the way that I want it to. And that's why it's super important to have ways to track your progress, to define what is successful. Because I know a lot of people are like, I just want to lose weight, but then they don't know how much weight they want to lose, and they're not keeping track of it over time. It's like, I don't know, maybe if I lose like 10 pounds this year, that's good. But like you have no idea if you've gained or lost weight throughout that year if you're not tracking your progress over time.
Well, and even on top of that, I think where this gets really hard is when you've lost some weight, right? So, like, if you have, like, the initial goal, I want to lose 20 pounds, and I'll kind of, like, see how I feel there, right? And you lose 18 pounds or maybe even lose the full 20 pounds, and you're like, cool, like, I want to go further, and now it gets a little harder, right? Because now instead of us, like, having a lot of room of things that we need to fix, we have to dial in the details, right? And that does get harder. And the progress gets slower because you have less body fat to lose. You already have a really solid base, right? But how do you stay excited about wanting to continue to push forward? And if you've had a bad week, if you had a bad 2 weeks, being able to look back and see all the progress that you've made and all the changes that have happened, not just the pounds or not just like how you look in the mirror, but like doing measurements and seeing like inches change or recognizing your strength increases or just seeing like your energy improve. That's why like just keeping a journal and just recognizing like, man, I have so much better energy. It's way easier for me to avoid fast food. It's way easier for me to make healthy choices. Like stuff like that makes such a big difference, because especially if the goal is to be like the healthiest version of yourself, there's so many things that go into that beyond just losing a few pounds, right?
Yeah, and kind of like as we've been talking about this entire thing, the whole idea of this is maintaining that motivation. And the biggest thing that stops us is when we get in our own head and we're like, I don't really know. And so if you're not looking at the numbers and actually assessing what happened this week, how can I make those improvements for next week, then it's really easy to get in your own head and feel like you're trying everything you can and you're just not seeing any more progress. And then you want to just give up because it's like, well, I mean, this just isn't working for me. So it is super important to have those check-ins and have, like Rex was talking about, other ways to measure success other than just the scale or inches, but how is this actually benefiting me in all areas of my health?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you there's a lot of times when doing a podcast is hard, right? You're like, what's the point? Like, is it going to help anybody? I don't know. And then I'll go read a review from one of our clients, or I'll see somebody in our app and like see the progress they've made and be like, see, like, that's why I'm doing it. I'm trying to like help as many people as I can. And if I can do this podcast and I can help one more person, then it's worth doing. So even in weeks when it doesn't get the downloads we want, or it doesn't get the views we want, to stay excited about it is by looking at like, what's the impact of it? How does this actually serve what the end goal is?
Yeah, definitely. And then it's awesome once you've documented those over time, because you can pull them out of the cookie jar and say, okay, maybe nothing's happened good in the past couple of weeks that I can remember I've documented. But in the past few months, there's been tons of different things that I know have just improved the overall quality of my life. So I want to keep doing this and keep moving towards that, because if not, I know what life was like before I started this journey, and I don't want to go back there.
Yeah, it's the daily actions. Just keep showing up, even when you're not motivated. Action comes before motivation, right? Have to make the moves first, and the motivation will follow when you're getting the results from all the consistent work that you've been putting in.
Exactly.
Boom. Last thing we want to touch on here is just making sure that you're allowing the right stuff in, right? We kind of talked about like how other people can influence you, but if you struggle with being motivated and you struggle with having like a positive outlook and you doubt yourself, you're frustrated at yourself, like you don't think that you can accomplish this, then it's really important to focus on what are you listening to. If you're surrounding yourself with people who are motivated, who are excited about their goals, and who are trying to accomplish more, are you more or less likely to want to accomplish more? More, for sure, right? If you're watching trash TV and like listening to like junk podcasts or, you know, the true crime stuff, like, is that serving you trying to be a better version of yourself? Definitely not, right? There's time and place to veg out, but there's so much opportunity from us to listen to things that are helping support our goal, to watch things that are helping support our goals, to learn things that are helping us support our goal. So if you're feeling like you're just not making the progress you want, immerse yourself more into the thing that you're trying to learn. Spend more time focusing on it, and you will continue to get better at it. I promise.
Yeah, and I think it's just like what, you know, you've probably heard before, but we don't truly realize is how important your thoughts are. And your thoughts lead to the actions that you take. So if you're just constantly, you know, listening to sports radio or watching trash TV or listening to the news where a bunch of bad things are going on, then it's going to be really, really tough to have your thoughts lead to positive action, to focus on your goal, to keep taking those actions when you are tired. But if you flip it around and say like, okay, maybe I'm going to find a motivational podcast, or I'm going to, you know, find something out there that helps me have those positive thoughts, and you're listening to that throughout your day, you're going to be way more likely to take the actions because you've been thinking about it all day, and it's the next thing that you need to do, versus being distracted by other things and like, oh yeah, I do have that goal that I'm working on, but who really cares? I'll just, you know, drink beer and watch this game or whatever.
Yeah. if you're looking for an actionable with this, my recommendation would be stop watching the news. I'll tell you how many times I have a conversation in the day. A client will come in and like, did you see the thing on the news? I'm like, nope.
No clue.
No idea. And they're like, well, it's so terrible, the economy and this and that. And I'm like, I'm not going to listen to this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch it. Unlike someone can have the conversation at me, which is fine, but I'm not going to spend any time thinking about it because I know what my goals are and I know what I'm working on, and that's all I can control. But if I'm focusing on all this negativity, what's the thing from the news is if it bleeds, it leads, right? They are pushing negativity. So you can immerse yourself in that and take that mindset into your day and try to be excited about accomplishing your goal. But if you think that the whole economy is going to crash down around you, probably going to. So you can focus on all that negative stuff, the stuff that's just not serving your goal, or you can just focus on the things that are serving you and helping you actually accomplish more, helping you be the person that you want to be.
That's it. Just what you focus on is what you succeed at.
That's right. So the real key to maintaining momentum and staying excited about your goals and sticking to a weight loss program is just one, deciding you're the kind of person who's going to accomplish the goal. Keep showing up consistently to do the work that's necessary to get there. Avoid negative momentum, things that are pulling you away from your goal. Make sure that you're tracking the progress and only listen to things and only focus on things that are helping you serve your goal. If you can do those things, you're not going to be excited all the time. You're not going to have a ton of motivation always because no one ever does. But you'll actually accomplish your goal. And when you actually accomplish your goals, that's when you're so much more motivated to just go out there and keep accomplishing more.
Yeah, if I can do this, then what else can I do? And that's when you're really just getting into that cycle of being that best version of yourself, accomplishing one thing after the next, not holding yourself back and getting in your own head.
That's right. So if you want the strategies to get that momentum on your side, you need to get a copy of this book right here, Executing Fitness Success. You can grab one at mypathwaytraining.com/book. That's mypathwaytraining.com/book. #1 bestseller, Men's Health on Amazon.com. That's it for us this time on the Pathway Podcast, right?
Let's do it.
All right, man. We'll see you guys here next time on the Pathway Podcast.